I oversee our social media team. And yes, the Spurs, obviously, the basketball team, the NBA team, that's what most people know and think of when they think of the Spurs. But we have the Austin Spurs, which is a G League team in Austin. We have SAFC, which is our football or soccer team here in San Antonio. And then we do a lot of impact work. Obviously, basketball and being really successful on the basketball court is really key, or on the football pitch. But impact is truly a key tenet for the organization, and I believe that we lean into impact work and impact storytelling more so than a lot of other sports teams or organizations.
What's up, guys? This is While Supplies Last, the marketing podcast where we talk about all things business and marketing. I'm Gabby. I'm the marketing manager for Peachtree Rose Marketing.
Hi, I'm Candace. I'm the project manager for Peachtree Rose Marketing.
And today we have Mimi Okoje. She's the lead content strategist for the Spurs.
Yeah. Hi, guys.
Hi, thank you for joining us.
I'm excited. It's going to be good.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you on.
I think it's going to be a great conversation. I'm excited to be here. It's going to be good.
Thank you. You've been working with the Spurs for about 3, almost 4 years now. Talk a little bit more about what you do with the organization and how long you've been there. I know there's a lot more than just the Spurs. You guys have other teams and things that you work with. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, I've been there about 3-4 years, and I oversee content strategy. And so essentially I'm taking a look at all the content that we're creating, primarily internally, but externally, and then figuring out how we're distributing that across various channels. Primarily social. It's obviously one of our largest channels after broadcast. So I oversee our social media team. And yes, the Spurs, obviously, the basketball team, the NBA team, that's what most people know and think of when they think of the Spurs. But we have the Austin Spurs, which is a G League team in Austin. We have SAFC, which is our football or soccer team here in San Antonio. And then we do a lot of impact work. And so we have an account for that. And that sort of ties into, like, tell me about the organization, and that obviously basketball and being really successful on the basketball court is really key, or on the football pitch or wherever. But impact is truly a key tenet for the organization. And I believe that we lean into impact work and impact storytelling more so than a lot of other sports teams or organizations. So, yeah.
Nice.
It's cool.
Right. So the Spurs have built up a loyal fan base over the past few decades at least. How can small businesses build up the same type of loyal fan base using content?
Yeah, and I think that's a great question for anyone who works in content, wherever it is. And an interesting question, because to me there's a question of which comes first, right? There's content, there's product. And a lot of times, especially when you're thinking of marketing and then social media marketing recently, a lot of the focus is like content. How do we use content to grow our audience or our fan base, or, grow people who are purchasing our products? And a lot of times there's so much emphasis on content. In my perspective, it's product. I actually don't think content, for the most part, can build you a loyal fan base. I think your product does. You have a great product or service, right? Whatever it is. And then your content sort of helps drive that into the minds of your current consumers, current audience, and then also exposes you to more audiences. And so for me, it's like, listen, if we have a great product or we have a great story that we can tell, then that helps make our content better and more engaging, and then brings in more people.
Okay. So content is more of like a tool.
Yes, exactly. And I feel like I should tattoo that on my forehead. But that's exactly it. It's a tool.
Interesting. So I know you said you talked about impact, and that content is just, the strategy, and it's really about the product or the service. How do, coming into the organization, you've been there 3 years, kind of getting that knowledge of the product, so that way you are able to transfer and relate that into the content strategy?
Yeah, that's a great question. And For the sports industry, I think what's unique is that coming into it, especially if you're a sports fan, and I'm a huge, huge sports fan, huge NBA fan for many, many years. And so you almost have a bit of an advantage because, like, you know the product, right? Like, they don't have to tell me the Spurs have won 5 championships. I'm like, yeah, I know. I remember. Like, you beat the Lakers. I'm from LA. And so you come in and you sort of have that foundation in a sense, at least for me. And so what I then had to focus on was the specifics, right? Like, okay, impact is important to you, or community is important to you. What exactly does that mean? When I came in, the team was in a period of growth after winning for so long. And so then it was, okay, how's the organization approaching that? What are the key details that we need to know and pay attention to in doing this work? And then obviously learning more about G League and the SCFC team. But I think working on sports, like, that's one of my favorite things is I already know you guys. Now it's just like, give me the details and then let's do great work from there.
Nice. So, you said the team was like in a new stage of like growth after winning for so long. It kind of just makes me think of like, oh, you have this product and you're kind of like changing it around and you're trying to innovate. And so now your content needs to reflect that. So how is this new product going to work better than before?
Right. And especially in industries where a product drives, right? And so it's a balance of what are we going to do differently, but also like what do our fans want and expect to see? And we've known what fans want for a long time, or we know the things that really resonate with fans for a long time because it's been pretty steady with the Spurs, right? The Spurs are just winning. There were barely any dips. And so I think this period was new, not just for fans, but also new for the organization. And like, what does that mean for us as well? What does that change? Does that change anything? Does it not change anything? And then how do we continue to tell great stories to our fans in engaging ways? So it was a really interesting period of learning and forced innovation. You know what I mean? And I think that's cool. Like, that's a cool challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any example of like a single piece of content that the organization uses that has results over time? I know you're talking about, a lot of growth and change, but sometimes, you create a piece of content that is evergreen and it lasts a long time. Do you guys still use any like old old content that like you're like, this works every time?
Yeah. Listen, if I go out right now and post a Tim Duncan highlight, like, it's gonna work. You know what I mean? And that's great, but it also, then there's a challenge in that, and what's the right balance? Because obviously you want to put stuff out that works all the time, especially on social, right? Like, everyone's looking at the metrics and what's working well, but there's a non-qualitative stuff or quantitative stuff, right? And we have a new team. Like, Tim isn't on the team anymore and hasn't been on the team for a while. So thinking of like the big three, Tim, Tony, Manu, we always want to celebrate our history and, remind fans, oh, remember what were you doing when this happened, or do you remember when this happened? But at the same time, we have a new team of really great guys, really talented, who are young and learning and figuring things out. And we want to make sure we tell those stories as well and introduce them to our fan base and get Spurs fans to love them just as much as they did Tim, Tony, and Manu, which they do. Spurs fans are great in that. Also, a little different from the NBA. I think Spurs fans are, going back to the very loyal,
Yes.
very, very loyal and very supportive of most, like, put on a Spurs jersey and Spurs fans are like, oh, hey, what's up? Like, you're one of us now.
So it's a nice balance of like the nostalgia and the loyal fan base, but also attracting new fans in as
Right.
well. Like,
Exactly.
but that probably isn't that hard when people are like getting their kids involved and they're like,
Yeah.
and it's part of the city.
Yeah.
So,
It's part of the city. It
that
is.
that helps a lot.
Yeah, and it is, and it really helps a lot. And what happens though on at least on our social channels is obviously our social media following, not obviously, but our social media following is very global, right? And so there are the fans in San Antonio that have been fans since they were 5 years old, and now they're bringing their kids to the game, or walking around San Antonio and they see Spurs logos everywhere. You see them on cars, you see people wearing hats. But what we're also thinking of are the folks that are not in San Antonio, right? Like maybe you live in France now. Well, not just now, Tony, but like maybe you live in France or in Spain or the Philippines, and your dad did it. Like you didn't go to games with your dad. So how do we get them involved, and how do we introduce them to the guys as well?
Nice. No, going back to the evergreen content, it made me think of the HEB commercials. The Spurs fans always love the HEB commercials, and I kind of see stuff on Twitter pop up every now and then. They're like, "Oh, the Spurs like HEB commercials are like going on again. We are so back."
Right.
I mean, and that's also a great like representation of like the collaboration of two brands that people are very, very loyal to. People love their
Yes.
HEB and people love their Spurs.
Man, I did not know until I got here, and I was like, HEB, like that's cool. And oh no, speak with more respect.
Yes, it's like HEB or nothing.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And the commercials are funny.
They're
They're really good. Yeah, I like them.
Yeah. Okay, so can you share an example of how the Spurs repurposes high-performing content?
Yeah. I that goes back to like what we were talking about, like something works, but you don't want to just post the same thing every time. And one of the things we talk about a lot on my team is rather than focusing on the specific asset, right, is how do we figure out what was it about that post that did really, really well? Was it the way it was edited? Was it the hook was done a little differently than other ones? Was the caption different? Was there a prompt in the caption versus, just a sentence? And so thinking through things like that is so important, because then you can apply it to anything else. And hopefully you apply it to other content that is not as high performing. And just obviously that's how you continue to iterate. And then sometimes, you have a thing that works and you're like, it's been 2 years, let's put this up. Be like, hey, remember this moment? And so sometimes repurposing that way works as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If a business approached content like a championship winning team, what would their strategy look like?
Yeah, that's a good one. And I'll say championship teams is a tenet of the Spurs, like across the organization. Mm-hmm. This is, for me personally, I think it would be a lot of high standards, obviously. Alignment. You want everyone to be working towards the same goal, and like you want to set that from the very beginning. What sometimes happens is, you're working towards a goal and then you realize like this person that you're working with like has a different goal, and you're like, well, there's no way we can come to like a reasonable compromise. Like we're not even trying to work towards the same thing. And so alignment of goals, I think, is really important. And then I would say no fear of failure, or removing a fear of failure from everyone, and really supporting failure and mistakes. Because I think when people feel safe to fail, they just do better work. You're more creative. You think differently. You can think outside the box more. You're more likely to like try something that you may have been scared to do. And so for me, it's I'm okay with failure. I say this to my team all the time. Like, I'm okay with failure as long as you can talk me through your reasoning and your hypothesis going into it. As long as that is solid, then it's fine if it fails. Like, we'll figure it out. We'll figure out why it didn't work, and then we go forward. But I think that's so important. And I've been in organizations where there is that fear, and it just like, it's so constricting. I hate it.
Yeah, I know sometimes, excuse me, we definitely feel that fear of failure. We talk
Right.
about it often, but we're
Yeah.
always just trying to like, okay, just push past, just send the email, just click send on the report and see what happens and try to like go back. If it does bad, like what happened? If it does well, then we're like, okay, we can like keep doing this going forward.
Yeah. Have you found strategies that work? Or
Just
tactics? Or?
for me, at least, it's a lot of stuff like in my head.
Mm.
So I'm very much like, in my head at least, I'm a worst case scenario type person. So I'm like, oh, if I do this wrong, I'm going to get yelled at. I'm going to
Right.
get fired, da da
Right.
da da da.
Yeah.
And then I realize like, I'm my own worst enemy, like in my head. So once I like push past those thoughts and just do what I'm, going to do anyways,
Yeah.
I find out like after the fact, like, oh, like this wasn't that bad. I was just blowing it up.
Right. Right.
So it's really just getting past the mental hurdles.
Yeah.
And I think that's really good content, or like something for people and small businesses to hear, that like even larger organizations still have those same,
Yeah.
pitfalls, or like those kind of blocks that some people may be scared to fail, but you have to realize like if you don't take the risk, you may never know. You may be
Right.
sitting on some gold,
Right.
some
Right.
gold content. You never know. You just need to go out there and take the risk.
Right.
I think also when she was saying like a lot of times I've made stuff and then you have that like
Yes.
post, right? And then you're just like, ugh. And you're so worried about it before you post it. And then I get the feedback later and everyone's like, that was so great. And then, and then you see the
Right.
information coming in, your analytics and insights. And I'm just like, okay, well,
Right.
I took the risk. It worked out. Now I can try to apply that to more content. But
Yeah.
I think that's a great thing to know, that like it's not just small businesses dealing with that issue. Like,
It's everywhere. We're human, right? And I do think it's worse for like marketing or creatives, especially, because the whole thing about like creatives being sensitive about their work, which is very true, but very valid. Like, a lot of creatives are like, that's my baby. And then you add in on social media where people are just horrific.
Yes.
And so, like, there is that added fear of, am I going to get like 1,000 comments on this piece I created that are just like tearing me apart? Like, that's heavy, and it's realistic and should be expected that will create a fear of failure, and in people who are doing this kind of work. And I do think that a lot of times we talk about it from a like individual perspective, like it's in my head and it's me and I need to adjust my self-talk, and I do think that's valid. However, I believe that we should challenge managers and leaders more, because in my opinion it is their like job, requirement, whatever, to know and mitigate that for everyone on their team. Meaning, a lot of times what we're going through is like, oh my God, what if I screw up? Am I going to get yelled at? Is this person going to look at the numbers and like, tell me my work isn't up to par? And for me, I think it's so vital for managers to talk to the people, whether on your team or a small business, it's the people who are like doing the work for you, and making them feel safe, right? And constantly like saying that, and hey, I got you. It's okay. Right? Like, maybe you'll tear yourself down. Like, I can't control that. But no, like, I'm not going to add to it. And I think that just, you feel, it's a sense of safety. You feel so much safer, and you feel like someone has your back. Right? And I wish we spoke about it from that perspective more and put the onus a little bit more on like our leaders and managers.
Yeah, working for a large organization, especially, you feel a lot more pressure. So whenever your team members and your managers like give you that safety, I think it gives you more confidence to do your work better.
Exactly. And then people don't point fingers, you know what I mean? Like that's a flip side. On a larger organization, there's more people involved. So there's more people who be like, not me.
It's like the Spider-Man meme. Everybody's pointing at each
I
other.
was just going to say, how does that work in an organization where you're handling multiple departments to, create content, and then it's like,
Right.
Yeah, like there's 20 people in marketing, whereas with us, it's 2 of us making content.
There's no one else to blame. So I think that's also why it's so important for like leadership in large organizations to create that that culture top to bottom, because it is so much easier to do that. You know,
it's so funny. Sometimes I'll post it and be like, if anyone asks, I said, you do it. You did it.
And I'm just like, what the heck?
It's like, what? I'm like,
because that's
But
where it
then
stops.
luckily-
There's no one else for you to
No,
point
literally.
but luckily we haven't run into any of those problems.
to. Knock on wood.
Yes, knock on
Thank you.
wood. I mean, if you post on LinkedIn, though, it tells you like who posted what.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Facebook too. Yeah. If I have to take screenshots, I don't screenshot that part.
Just crop
kidding.
that part out.
No, I think I have the most amazing people that I work with, and just the best people that are on my team that I work with, and that's been really important to me to create that culture of safety and collaboration and support, but also truly the culture of failure is not bad. Unless you did not think at all before you did something, right? That's my caveat. Like, as long as you have a reasonable explanation for why you tried it, that's what matters. If you're like, I don't know,
I just
okay.
did it to do it. Like,
All right, now we got to talk.
yeah. Like,
Like, let's rewind.
Exactly. Something is missing here. But yeah.
Man, whenever you say like failure, people automatically think like, oh, like you failed at this, like
Right.
one little task, you're gonna be a failure at life.
Right. Like, Jesus. The pressure.
You're like,
Failure, mistakes, those 2 words.
yes.
But, I mean, I'm like, I don't know. I can't change the word. Like, that word is going to be used, exist anywhere. Like, that's a battle I can't fight. What I can try to do at least is create a different feeling about the word with the people that I work with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
which establishes a great community. And I know that you guys are about community and impact.
Right.
What ways can small businesses like tap into the local sports teams for content and like creating those collaborations and community amongst them and like the different organizations for the Spurs?
Yeah. And I mean, I can talk that from a San Antonio perspective, LA a little bit, because I lived there for so long. I do wonder what that's like in other markets, but at least here, I'll talk big picture, and then I'll go like very specific tactically. Big picture, I think one key question is your audience and your fan base, like your target audience. Do they like sports? And start there. And I think if they do, it's a very natural tie because, like, ideally, your target audience, you guys are speaking a similar language anyways, right, for the most part. And so it's really just tapping into what they're doing. And so that's a key thing, right? Like, if your target audience is interested in sports, or in San Antonio, if they're interested in the Spurs, because there are a lot of people that are like not that into sports but love the Spurs. It's so cool. And so the Spurs being part of your like cultural lexicon, I think is really key. I think tactically there's a bunch of different ways. One is just like getting in the conversation. And like if I was a small business and there was a Spurs game happening and some crazy stuff happened, some crazy dunk or like some sort of record or whatever. It's as simple as just like entering the conversation. Are you guys watching the Spurs game? Anyone else see what just happened, right? And then that builds discussion in your comments, and obviously discussion leads to community. So I think that stuff like that is really cool. And then the more interesting is like, do you tie that to what you're doing in any way, right? Like at least at the Spurs, we talk a lot about like growth and a lot of the hard work that's put in before the success. And so there are a lot of parallels to that because that is true regardless of industry. So just having discussions around that without, I'm saying this to my legal team, without using marks and logos that you don't have permission to use.
Definitely don't do that.
But yeah, I think it really is about, especially small businesses, right? You're not an HEB, so you have money to like do a partnership with the Spurs. And so it really is more about the discussion and the conversations. Like, how do you have conversations based on what your audience is doing?
Yeah. Like joining in on like fan pages and things like that that make sense for your brand.
Right. Exactly. Or like commenting on Spurs posts. I promise I'm not trying to plug our social right now, but like there's a whole thing where, if you comment frequently on an account, like then you tend to show up as like one of the comments it shows. And so sometimes even doing that, right? Like pay attention to what they're posting and just reply and be like, oh, what a great post, you guys. Great job, Mimi. I'm just kidding. But, just, again, jumping in the conversation in that way, it's the brand recognition and people see your name and see that you're interested in what you're doing authentically. Don't make it up. Yeah.
Or like, I know like a lot of bars, like sports bars, they'll do like, oh, we have Spurs night. Like,
Right.
come get drinks like half off.
Right. Yeah. Who doesn't love? I'm sold. But yeah, exactly.
Thanks. So what are you, let me start over. What are some creative ways that small businesses can help weave, like, I guess we kind of asked that question already. I guess let's go back a little bit. How did you first get into content strategy?
Oh, yeah. Kind of happened. I always say, like, career-wise, so far I've worked in the big three, my big three, which is I started in entertainment, working for NBC. Then I went into tech, and I worked for a tech startup, and then now working in sports, so entertainment, tech, sports. And I knew I wanted to work in sports very early on, and so once I decided on that, what I started to focus on was, okay, well, how do I make my resume and my skill set more attractive to sports teams, sports leagues? And so I always kept that in the back of my mind with any role that I took or any projects that I was part of at work. But I started my career working in like sales channel marketing and then partnerships marketing. And so it was a lot of, okay, we have a partner, I work for this brand, how do we execute based on partner goals and our goals, and what sort of like marketing assets do we put out? And so I was doing stuff, then I shifted, I was doing a lot of stuff on digital, so web apps, social, etc. And then from there sort of fell into more of the brand side at the startup. I was the head of marketing. And so I really then started focusing on all things marketing. And especially in today's world, you almost can't work in marketing without working in content. And so as I continued to specialize, then moved into like content strategy as a whole. I think everyone that works in content and marketing does a little bit of content strategy. For me and my role, I think the main difference is taking a further step back and having a wider view of multiple distribution channels and thinking through how the audience is different from whether it's from social platform to social platform or social to like app, how our audience is different and what what do we see as most engaging to the different types of audiences. Yeah, it's cool.
Nice. No, that's really interesting. You said you started out with
NBC.
NBC.
Mhm.
So how did you get into that?
Um,
Or what was your role there also?
yeah, that was like my second. I had a friend who worked there, and I started at the theme park, so Universal Studios Hollywood, and there I was doing like sales channel marketing. I was working with our sales partners and figuring how to integrate them into the Universal Studios Hollywood brand. And then from there, I moved over to NBC Entertainment, which is basically the TV shows division of NBC. And so working on like shows like The Voice and AGT and SNL, NBC shows, basically TV shows, and integrating partners into those shows and then focusing more digitally. So assets on web, social, all of the things. It was fun. It was cool.
Oh, that sounds really cool.
It was dope. I'm like a huge Harry Potter fan.
Yes.
And I started like a few months before Wizarding World opened in Universal Studios Hollywood, and I was just like, oh my God, it was like the best job ever. And just walking through the land, we called it the land. Oh my God, we were so fancy. Walking through the land on like lunch breaks, or like me and my boss, we do one-on-ones in there. So cool.
Wow. Imagine doing a one-on-one.
Like, oh, let's just go get some butterbeer for lunch.
Right.
Like,
And then, after a few months, you're like, I mean, this is cool, but dang, I've been here 5 times in the past week. So, I try not to let it wear off. That's a big thing for me, even here in sports. Like, I'm such a huge NBA fan. And today, like 3-4 years later, like when I walk into a game, I'm still like, oh my God, guys. Like, oh my God, is that Leandro Barbosa? Like, where did he come from? Like, I'm such a nerd. But I try not to lose that because it's just so cool. And I don't want to get jaded. Like, I want to really appreciate the really, really cool parts of whatever it is I'm doing. Easier said than done, but.
that's so exciting. Like, wow, they really let me into the stadium.
Yeah.
Like, you don't work there.
Oh my God, my badge still works. Like, it's nuts.
But again, that's probably helps your role a lot because you technically are also the target audience. You're like, I think this stuff is cool. This is what I want to see.
Me. We're like, when the in-season tournament launched, which was I think last year, which is like the mid-season tournament, and we were talking through like explaining what it was to fans. I was like, I don't get it. So, like, if we put something together, if I get it, I think we're on the right path. Because I also want to know, like, what's going to happen. Shout out to the Lakers who won the first ever in-season tournament. I hope that doesn't get me stabbed in San Antonio. Please cut that out.
We'll fix it in post.
Thank you. But, yeah, so it is. I will say, though, that is a blessing and a curse. And I'm sure anyone who runs a social account will know this, in that there is an extent to which you are the target audience, and that stops. There is a much wider space where you are not the target audience. Yes. And so sometimes what happens is people give feedback based on how they perceived whatever is a post. And like, I have to be like, you're not the audience here. Like, 7,000 facts about the Spurs. You know every single thing that is happening in the past 2 days. I promise you that the person reading this does not know any of that. Like, they just want to like see fun highlights, content, engaging stuff. And so that is a challenge, is like that constant reminder of don't only evaluate this through your eyes, because the audience that we're talking to, the fan base, is not you.
Yeah.
Like 47. We're talking to 17-year-olds. Don't think that way. But, you know, it's hard, and I get it. But that is something we constantly have to do.
So when you're thinking about who you're putting this stuff out for and you're planning your content, how far in advance do you plan your content? I'm sure at this point you guys are
Like a
already
well-oiled machine.
yeah. But I'm like, they're probably already on like summer, Christmas.
I really appreciate the faith you have in.
We're like, oh, they got quarter 2 and 3 and 4 set up. They're working on next year.
Right. I'm so sorry to dispel those myths, but no. And there's so many reasons, and there's some stuff that we prep for well at a time, right? Like the thing, we know draft is going to happen. We know what day, we know where it is, and so there's things that we can plan ahead. But then there's things that like just pop up, and it's like, hey, in about 20 minutes we got some news coming out, and we're gonna have to, and I'm like, oh my god, all right, I gotta find person, I gotta figure out where the graphic is coming from. Shit, we gotta get the graphic made. Like, it just, there's so much stuff that happens, right? And so there, we have to be very, very nimble. Plus, like, think of in season, where a lot of our content, or a good amount of it, is driven by games, and you literally don't know what's going to happen. Like, we play tonight, we might win by 30, we might lose by 2. Like, somebody might pop off for 50 points. Like, I just don't know.
So you guys are very well versed in the pivot.
Man, a little too well versed, I think. But yeah, and going back to what you said, like, especially when you're working in a small business, you really think like the big organizations, they got it all figured out. And no, no, everyone is a mess everywhere. So,
Well, you make us feel better because we're like, if the Spurs have to pivot every now and then, or they have to catch that curveball,
man,
we shouldn't feel so bad about like just
know.
barely missing that catch or.
like at all. And there's a lot of stuff that like small businesses would be much better at than we are, by virtue of you have as many people. Like, you probably make you make decisions much quicker, right? And you're like, nah, all right, we're doing this, and that might take me 3 days, you know. And so the grass is always greener, but yeah, everyone's a mess, respectfully, including me. But yeah,
We're all a mess together.
amen.
Content creators and marketers unite.
Right. The only difference is budget. Well,
Yes.
not only, but the main difference is budget, and that is a key difference. Yeah.
Are there ever times where you feel like there was a missed opportunity because you had so many channels to go through? Like, you were like really excited about something, and then you just kind of, man, we kind of missed it because
Yeah.
we had to go through 5-6 apartments.
That is a fantastic question. Yes. In a few different ways. Like, one is like there might be a trend or something, like something going around, and we're like, oh, maybe we can do something in this vein, and but then you gotta figure out like, oh, how do we want to do this? And you're like, oh, this, I don't know if we could do this. And you gotta talk to this person, and then the trend is over.
Yeah, you can talk to legal, you get something.
Right. Like,
There should be a fast track, like just like a few people set aside from each department. You can just fast track it to the last
Yes.
person for stuff like that.
I hope everyone is listening to that. I think that's a fantastic idea. Yeah, that always sucks. But then, for me, the things that I wish the things I think I miss, or that like eat at me, is more like tailoring a story to the right audiences. And this is also a key difference between like big organization, small business, is that because we have more resources, we're able to tailor more than you would. And so within that, there's things where I'm like, oh, I wish maybe I had more time and we could have done something specifically for TikTok on this. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's a balance.
So I know we live in a time where like everybody's creating content now, including the players. So do you ever like get to repurpose their content?
Yeah, and I will say that it might be a Spurs thing, but like a lot of our guys aren't really like on social like that or like creating like that. Whereas like in some other like players of different teams, they're like full on. I'm like, dang, you're like an agency at this point, like, which is really cool. I think it's cool. But for us, I mean, we do obviously we pay attention to what they're posting on social and just see what's going on. And if there's like something really cool, we'll ask for it. Or if they like go to a really cool event, like I might ping our team and be like, hey, did they get any photos? Like, or did they shoot something that we can share and post? So that has been helpful, but it's a balance, right? Like they don't work for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we're not paying them to create content, and so it like you can't just be like, oh, they're going here. Okay. You ask Jeremy, let's get like 3 videos from him. You know what I mean? Like a couple pictures, and then send it over. Like, all right, gotta chill. But we do try to, especially for events that we know about or are connected, like we'll have someone there shooting. So yeah.
Okay, nice. No, now that you say that about the Spurs, like the team, and I feel like the coaches and stuff too are very chill.
Yeah. Right. Very chill. Yeah. It's a culture thing, right? It's cool. It works.
It does.
Yeah.
So, what platforms are used for distributing content? Do you guys use like schedulers, and like how do you organize
Yeah.
all of the content to where it's supposed to go? Who's doing what? Because
Yeah.
obviously you guys have a lot always going on, so I'm sure there's a great program or management system that you have for your content.
Yeah, and it's a mix of systems. So we do have a scheduler that we use, going back to like for the things we know, right, and have planned ahead. But then there's a lot of stuff that goes up like natively or like time of posting because it's happens at the moment. So a mix of that, and then we have systems in place for just funneling the content. We have a content team made up of producers and editors, so we're creating a lot of video. And so, like, thinking through that process, right? Obviously, they're creating stuff, but then it has to be stored somewhere. We use Box in folders, in organized folders, and da-da-da-da. And then deliver to the social team so we can post, or if social's creating stuff, where do we store that? So a lot of that, same for anything coming from like creative team, photographers, blah, blah, blah. And then we have systems for data and insights. And so just taking a look at all of our social metrics and how do we pull insights from there? How do we use that to make decisions? So yeah, a bunch of systems.
So, do you guys get just as frustrated with Meta as everybody else?
Just yesterday, I was like, bro, what are we doing? Like, why is this so difficult? No shade to Mark. Maybe a little shade. But yeah. Or like, what was it, 2 days ago? Yeah, it was 2 days ago, right? When Twitter went down, X. And so it's like, you get a message in Slack, I'm like, X is down. And then all the like social managers are like, oh, same. So same stuff. You can't do anything. Can't do anything. You just figure it out.
It's funny. Whenever like one platform goes down, then everybody flocks to another platform. They're like, "Hey, is this down for y'all?"
Right. And then the thing about working in social is like, ooh, how do I use that to my advantage? Do I post something on the one everyone is going to and be like, hey guys, But yeah, social.
Yes. Every day is different.
Every day is different. Every day is different. It's the cool part of it and the difficult part of it. Yeah.
For sure.
It's very exciting.
Yes. So, what would you say are some different phases that you go through when you're like creating new content?
Yeah. Um, so it sort of depends on where it originates from, right? And so we have buckets that originate from what we see as trending on social. We have buckets that originate from like player team news, right? Are we signing someone? Are we extending someone's contract? Da da da. And then buckets that initiate from events. Okay, we have a Harrison Barnes just opened a court. He opened one in Austin, opened one here. So like that's something, that's an event. We know it's happening, and then how do we go from there? So usually, what we start with is the brainstorm, and sometimes that's smaller. Sometimes it's a larger group of people. So brainstorm, come up with the ideas, and then go and shoot. Right? If it's going to an event shoot, or if we're setting up a shoot, or we're shooting something at practice. And then after we have all the content, it's were we able to get what we needed for the ideas we went in with, which obviously doesn't always happen, like things happen. But basically it's, all right, now that we know what footage we have, what are we able to create? And then that gets done, it gets created, whoever needs to look at it looks at it, and then it gets pushed to the social strategists and programmers, and then from there they've either worked on a caption or have like a placeholder caption, and they tweak it if needed based on what the actual asset is, and then post it. Yeah, and then look at data metrics after that and see what you can learn from it. Yeah, that's the life cycle of a post.
Do you find that the process stays pretty much the same, or if there's like certain pieces of content where you're like, okay, let's kind of do this a little bit backwards?
Yeah, I think for the most part it stays the same. What shifts might be the amount of time, right? And so we may have 2 weeks where we can brainstorm, or it might be like this event is happening tomorrow. And so then you have to like brainstorm and plan all of that in a much shorter amount of time. But for the most part, I think it's like idea, footage, asset, caption, post, data. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I was trying to think of an example where it doesn't, but yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay. I know sometimes we tend to like overcomplicate things a little bit. We're trying to like pull things together.
Yeah, and to be clear, I know I said that and it seemed pretty straightforward. But that is because I'm chilling on a Friday afternoon. In actuality, it was much more complicated than that. But like if you boil it down, that's what it is. And honestly, I think that's the same wherever you are. Like if you truly, truly boil it down, we just complicate every step of that. Somehow we find a way to do that. We as humans, like, yeah.
No, that was definitely me yesterday, working on some content for a client.
Right. Yeah.
I was telling Candace I got like the file and I was looking through it and I was like, oh my gosh. I had to like stop, read through everything and then like break it down piece by piece so I could like work on it.
Right. Or like you get a video, it's like, okay, post this. You're like, what is this? Can I get some context?
I was gonna say you guys get stuff with no context, and they're just like, here you go. But that also could be, I mean, a good problem to have, an overabundance of footage and content, because then you always have something in your little back pocket to pull and be like, ooh, I remember a couple weeks ago we had something, and then that would work.
Exactly. And more people that know about it, right? Like there's this trend that Cass, someone on my team the team talked about wanted to do and needed a video of Keldon screaming, which if you're a Spurs fan, you know that is not, that happens a lot. And so like she just put out an ask and said, hey, we want to do this. Does anyone remember a video of Keldon screaming that they shot recently, right? And someone's like, oh yeah, I got one actually 3 days ago, and like, shared it. So that perspective, or that, like having that is really helpful. Like you don't have to keep all the knowledge in your head because it's other people have, like, they're part of the knowledge. Yeah.
That just makes your job and life so much easier.
So, yes. Yes.
I guess
because
the
that's a lot.
equivalent to that for a small business would be you probably should just have folders. Use a lot of
Like,
folders to
and
organize your content.
Your naming convention has to be solid.
Yes.
That's honestly, because then you just search, right? But it takes time, you know? You got so much that you're doing, and it just takes time. But if you can set it up, like, early, I think that is the piece, actually. Small business, even large organizations, is, like, we focus so much on the content and the creative, and we forget that the organization and the operational side of it is just as important. And the difference is large organizations, we can split that. We can have someone who's just focused on the content and creative, and you have someone who manages the operational stuff so that they don't have to think about it. When you're a small business, you're having to do both. And that's hard as hell.
Just being honest.
It's hard as hell. And honestly, just do your best. Don't expect to be able to do it. Like, it's impossible. You'll drive yourself crazy. So just do your best and go from there.
And you know what? Sometimes we end up driving ourselves crazy anyways.
Right. Exactly. You got to give yourself grace. Like,
Yes,
Don't-
definitely
don't expect to be able to do what a 500-person organization can do. Like, that's not fair to you. Like,
So, do you have any other tips for content strategy that maybe small businesses could kind of piggyback off of or incorporate into their
yeah.
brand?
I would say just being very intentional, and not trying to, like, overdo. And, like, I think you have a tendency to do that. You're like, oh, this new social platform just came out 2 days ago. Gotta be on it. It's like, no, you don't. Like, I think small businesses especially are better able to benefit from being late adopters. And once you're a much bigger brand, you almost have to be an early adopter, right? Like, say a platform launched tomorrow, at some point people will be like, why aren't the Spurs on there? Or why isn't HEB on there? Why isn't whatever brand on there? Like, you're behind if you take too long to be on there. But for a small business, you have the luxury of being a late adopter. And so, like, take advantage of that. Like, take some time, see what happens on that platform. Secure your name. I would say that. Like, secure your username. And then just leave it alone. See, is this going to be good for you? Is your target audience going to be on here? Like, do you have the time to do that? So I think just being really intentional in what you're doing, and don't just do things to do it, and don't just do things to try to keep up with, you know, whoever else, because you're just going to drive yourself crazy, and it just spreads out the quality of what you're able to do. But it's hard to do that because, you know, it's like, oh, new shiny. Like, you want to do that. So it's difficult, but I think that's important. Yeah.
Oh,
that's great.
yes,
Great advice.
definitely.
Did you have any closing, excuse me, have any closing remarks? I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
It sounded so official, too. I was like, wow, speech.
No, that was my closing my closing question.
Okay. No, I figured. I just wanted to.
Well, my closing remark would be, thank you so much for bestowing this information and these insights for our audience. I really appreciate you coming in today.
Yeah, I thank you for having me, and I think what you do is really cool. And for me, like, there's a lot of learnings and information that I take from what a lot of small businesses are doing as well. Like, I don't know better than you guys. I don't know better than anybody listening on the call. Like, we're in the same space. We're all trying to figure it out, and so it's cool to just talk and hear what other people are doing and how they're doing it. And then commiserate as well, you know, like, oh, That's annoying to you too. Cool. It's not just me. Yeah. So yeah, I appreciate you guys. This is fun.
Yeah.
Man. I'm on the struggle bus today.
You got this.
I got this. Yeah, it was so great having you on. Thank you. Don't laugh at me. We're gonna have some great bloopers for this episode.
This is
I don't
definitely.
think we haven't had
Think of
bloopers in
that.
a while. So.
Oh, that's my life. My life is bloopers. If a movie was made about me, actually, I'd probably name it Bloopers. Okay.
But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. We had a great conversation, honestly.
Yeah, it was fun. Come out to Spurs games and, well, season's almost over, but we'll see what happens. Draft is coming. It's going to be a cool draft. I have no idea what's going to happen, so we'll see. Come to an SAFC game. SAFC season just started last week, so
I
those
do
are
need
fun.
to do that.
It's a lot of fun.
I've only been to Austin FC. Don't tell anybody.
Oh, cut that out. Blasphemy. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry, guys. Like, don't
Or
come
Austin.
after me.
Like, if you're going to go to Austin, go to an Austin Spurs game.
True.
Austin Spurs might make the playoffs this year.
Oh.
Very excited about that. That has never happened while I've never had a team make it to the playoff. Oh, no. SAFC won the championship. I've never had a basketball team make it to the playoffs since I've been here. So that will be nice.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Amen. But yeah, this was cool. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, of course.
It was fun.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, really. Like, we always appreciate when people, like, take the time out of their day because, everybody's busy. Like,
Yeah.
you, like, agreed to come on and talk to us
yeah.
and give some great advice. And we, like, really appreciate it, truly.
It was fun. I started this, I'm just talking, but like I was thinking about doing a podcast, especially when I was at the startup, and like people don't realize obviously how much work goes into it. That shit is a lot. So like props to you guys and appreciate you and not just doing it, but like keeping it going. That's not easy. So
It's not. We've been, like, not scrambling, but we're like, okay, who's the next guest? Who's the next guest?
Right.
It's constantly like reaching out to people, getting
Yeah.
things scheduled, scheduling the
Yeah.
initial meetings.
And the questions, yeah. If there's anyone I can help, like if I have a connection to someone you're trying to reach out to, then let me know. Happy to make an intro. Spurs elsewhere. I mean, I don't know a lot of people in San Antonio, but maybe. But yeah, just let me know. Happy to do that.
Yeah, we appreciate
you.
it.
Of course.
Is there anywhere you would like people to find you at?
I don't know if I do want people to find me.
On LinkedIn or?
LinkedIn is great, and everything. So my LinkedIn is Mimi Okoje, my full name, the same as anybody else. And then on most social platforms, it's at Sammy Twice, SAYMETWICE. Yeah. I don't post anything, so like manage your expectations coming in. But yeah, hit me up.
It's okay. I post like twice a year.
Same. I don't think I posted since 2023. No, you know what? I think I will post in the next month for 2025.
It's a good goal to have.
Thank you. But yeah, that's me.
Nice. Well, all right, guys. This has been While Supplies Last, the marketing podcast. Once again, we are with Peachtree Rose Marketing. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Peachtree Rose Marketing. And then also, if you want to set up a consultation, you can go to peachtreerosemarketing.com. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.